Hello, my Zehoovians! Last week we made cookies for Israel's birthday, and this week I realized I said something about making challah together, and I'm not sure that we have made challah together, so I thought you might want to make some challah with me. Today is Friday morning. Right now I'm freezing cold, but that's okay. We're still going to make challah together. So we're going to start with flour. I just had a mental blank. We're going to start with flour. So I'm going to put in 4.5 cups of flour, plain flour, although I am using up just a little bit of wholemeal flour as well. So 4.5 cups of flour. This is a recipe that I've been making and my family's been making for a long time. I know that there's lots of different recipes out there. This is the one that we make and it goes so well. Then we're going to put in some sugar, about 1/3 cup. Again, those of you who've baked with me before know I eyeball certain things, about 1/3 cup-ish. I put all my dry ingredients in first. Then we're going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now this is my cinnamon. He's known as Cinnamon. I did this for my nephew once. So this is our cinnamon jar. So we put in, and when I say 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, I do a pretty generous 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and a tablespoon of yeast and 1/2 tablespoon of salt. Then I do this all with my hands. Mix it up until it all looks uniform, all looks the same. Then we add in 2 eggs. Now this is a duck egg from my backyard, so that's a bit harder to break open. So this is from Gloria, our duck. So today's challah will have 1 duck egg and 1 chicken egg, and I'm afraid I don't know which chicken laid the chicken egg because we've got how many girls?
I think we have 7. Yeah, we have 7, I think. Yeah.
2 of them are ducks, so I think we've got 5 chickens. Of the 5 chickens, oh, look at the size of that one. That's a chicken egg too. That one's a chicken egg, so a lot easier to open. All right, so we put in those. We put in some vanilla, as always. You know me and vanilla, a slosh, an eyeball of vanilla. I eyeball it. And around about 1/3 cup of oil. There we go. Chuck that in, and then I'm going to disappear for a second while I get some lukewarm water. So lukewarm, guys, means, the way I do it, means you stick your finger in it and you don't really notice the temperature. That's actually a teeny bit warm, but it's so cold today, I don't think that matters. So 1.25 cups of that. Then, ready? I hope you washed your hands before you started doing this. In we go with our hands. And I use my fingers to burst the egg yolks best I can. The duck yolk tends to be a bit harder to burst. There we go. And I mix it round and round and round with my fingers. I spread my fingers out like they are a mixing blades. I do this for 2 reasons. 1, I think it's really good to feel the dough as you're working it. And 2, there's a lot less washing up to do. And I like doing less washing up if possible. Then, once it starts to look a bit clumpy together, see how when I lift my hands up, it's pretty much attached? That to me is it's time to start kneading. And not kneading like, I need to have fresh challah, yum, but kneading like pressing it down, rolling it over, and making it come together really nicely. And it makes the flour join hands and make what's called glutinous bonds. Makes it come together into bread and not just the muck that it is right now. And it tastes really good when that's done. So I scrape down the sides of the bowls. I don't like to waste anything here. All right. We tip this out. Look at that. Now you're going to want to keep your flour available. Leave the bowl. We are going to put the bread dough in there to rise, the challah dough in there to rise. Now, this is a point that I look at the clock and I think, okay, 5 minutes of kneading. 5 minutes is the magic number of minutes for kneading everything that I make except for pita. Pita needs 10 minutes. Maybe we'll do that one day too. Make our own pita and make our own hummus when we're all together. What do you think? have a hummus and pita and hard-boiled egg lunch. That'll be yum. So now 5 minutes of kneading, and you're going to see it change from this to a lovely smooth bowl. You're going to notice it starts to get sticky, too sticky. That's when you get out extra flour. Oh, let's move the flour where you can see it. There you go, extra flour. And I just roll the ball through that, pick up some flour, and do some more kneading. And as it sticks to my hands too much, I add in some more flour. I just roll it through, pick up extra bits. And you just get a feel for it, guys. The more you do this, the more you have a feel for if it's coming together. Okay, after 1 minute of kneading, this is how it's looking. Still a bit bitsy, still a bit rough, not as smooth. Now kneading, I put my hands together and I use the heels of my hands and I push forward and I pull it back and fold it over. Push forward, pull it back, roll it over. Forward, pull it back, roll it over, fold it over in itself. After 2 minutes of kneading, smoothing out a little bit, that word, smoothing, becoming smoother, slightly less rough looking, still needs more flour, still sticky. Smoothing. I think I just made up a word.
It's a great word, Mum. Great word.
Do you know exactly what it means?
No.
It means it's getting smoother.
This is at 3 minutes. Even more smooth. Still a bit sticky, but you'll see I'm not using as much flour. Now the good thing about kneading is if you're doing it properly and you're really getting into it, you get a bit warmer. So I'm not feeling quite as cold as I was when I started this. Four minutes of kneading. Feeling nice and elastic. It's coming together into one mass. Nearly done, but I always do 5 magic minutes. All right, 5 minutes of kneading done. Look at that. Nice smooth ball of dough. So that bowl that we were working in, we're going to put it in here, right? I'm going to show you how big it is right now, right? And we're going to rest it in a warm place. We're going to cover it. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. I don't cover it with a tea towel because it does get a bit sticky and it will attach to the tea towel. So I use a plate. I just cover it with a plate. And I do it like that. Don't worry about the gap. So it's going to go into a slightly warmed oven for a while, 1.5 hours, 2 hours, however long it takes to rise nicely. But we'll come back and have a look at it soon. See you soon. Say I put the challah into a warmed oven. I actually put mine on to bake for about 2 minutes at 50 degrees, just enough to take the chill off. So it's not a hot oven. We don't want to cook it or cook the crust on the outside of it. We just want it to warm enough that it can rise. Okay. Now our challah has been rising. It should be risen enough. First, before anything else, we're going to put a little bit of oil onto baking trays so that they don't stick. Give it a good rub around, spread it. I use my hand. You can see the shiny grease, that's where the oil is. I make 2 challah out of this, so I like them to be on separate trays. Then, look at this. Look how much the challah has risen. Isn't that amazing? So, that's from being in quite a warm spot. Now I use my scraper to scrape it down the sides. And then I tip it out onto my counter. You might want to flour your counter. I tend to work pretty fast and avoid the need to do that. I don't like leaving any little bits behind, so all those little bits. Now I'm going to divide this into 2. Normally I make it into 3 and give one away, but with the coronavirus issue at the moment, I'm not sure if that would be such a welcome thing. So I'm just making it into 2. So I divide it into 2, and then I divide each half into 3. So we make nice long snakes. I don't worry too much. I used to worry about them being really, really even. Not so worried about that anymore. After years of making it, got over caring about that. Then I'll make another one. Whoop! This is going to be a chunky one. Rest that there. And the third one. Now, I taught my kids a trick to how to braid it well. Well, not braid well, just how to braid. So let's see. Can you see we've got the 3? There we go. Sorry about that. So they all want to be in the middle. So we've got one in the middle now. This one says, what? I want to go in the middle. And then this one on the left side says, no, I want to. And you keep swapping. They argue, I want to be in the middle. I want to be in the middle. So when my children do this for me, I hear them saying, I want to be in the middle. No, I want to be in the middle. And then we've got a lovely challah. Place that on one of the grease trays and do that all over again. And then we're going to cover them up and let them have a second rise, just for half an hour this time. So again, cut into 3. You can see I work pretty fast. I don't need, often the kids will then, you guys want to knead it. Let's not knead it, guys. Let's just roll it really lightly. Again, roll it really lightly. 3. Okay, what's the rule? We all want to be in the middle. So, I want to be in the middle. No, I want to be in the middle. No, I want to be in the middle. No, I do. No, I do. And then, before you know it, look at that. So these 2 are going to rest. These 2 trays are going to rest with just a tea towel over them for half an hour. So I'll see you in half an hour. So it's been half an hour and our chalot have had a nice little rest for another half an hour. We're going to put the oven on now, guys, to about 100. I do it about 170. And while it's heating up, we're going to just brush a little bit of milk, or soy milk, or egg if you want. I always use soy milk, over the top of the chalot. Just a bit. We're going to paint it on, just lightly. We don't want to squish down the air bubbles in it. There we go. And we're going to bake the chalot. I do them for 15 minutes. And then after 15 minutes, I turn them around 180 degrees. I'll show you what I mean by that in just one sec. And I also swap the one from the top shelf to the bottom and the bottom shelf to the top. So they each get a chance to have nice, good, regular heat. So what I mean is when we put them in the oven like this, after 15 minutes, I take them out and I turn them around like that and put them back in. Okay? All right. And of course, an adult puts them into the hot oven and an adult will take them out for you. Okay. Okay, you're going to hear a beeping noise. And that's the sound of my oven saying, my chalot are ready to come out. So, let's have a look at that. Now listen. Does that sound kind of hollow to you? That's a sign that it's well cooked. Cooked all the way through. And then, when I take it off, whoop, tilt it up, you see how it's nice and cooked? Ha, very hot, nice and cooked on the bottom. We move it onto a cooling rack. There's my second one. I know it's okay, but I'm going to check. Nice and hollow sounding. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. I hope yours turned out nicely. You can do small ones. By the way, I didn't say you can do small ones. You can do... Maybe your chalot are rising right now, or maybe they are baking, or maybe they're already done and you're tearing off just a little bit, nice and warm to taste it right out of the oven. While that's happening though, I'm going to read you Zishe the Strongman because my girls requested it. And I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. This one, I think this one was also from PJ Library, I think. I'm not 100% sure. It's written by Robert Rubenstein, illustrations by Woody Miller. Zishe the Strongman. Ladies and gentlemen, today the great Zishe will attempt to perform something never done before. He will place a thick leather strap in his teeth and attempt to haul a wagon load of 10 men for half a mile down 5th Avenue. gather round to witness this incredible feat of strength. Now remember, half a mile is around about a kilometer. It's a long way. It's a long way. Who would have thought that a Polish Jew, son of a poor blacksmith, would become the strongest person in the world? When Zishe was 3 years old, he loved to watch his father work. He would pick up a 9-pound hammer, so 9 pounds, around about 4 kilos, maybe 4.5 kilos, swing it round and pound it on the anvil. He laughed when he heard the crashing noise it made. As Zishe grew older, the village children would bring him things to test his strength. "Here, Zishe," they would say, "can you bend this metal bar?" Zishe, just 7 years old, would bend it easily. "This is a thick chain, Zishe," they dared him. "I bet you can't snap it in half." But that's exactly what Zishe did. By the time Zishe turned 11, there was not a bar that he could not bend or a chain that he could not snap. But Zishe was also gentle. He loved small animals. He would hold tiny mice in his hands, and he loved to feed nuts to the squirrels. Zishe also liked listening to music and learned to play the cello. To earn money for music lessons, he used his strength to haul and carry things for others. As the years passed, Zishe's fame as a strongman spread throughout Poland. Strangers would come to town to challenge his strength. Zishe loved to put on a show for people. He drove nails into an 8-inch thick board using just the palm of his hand. He cracked hard-shelled nuts between 2 fingers. Once, he lifted 7 people off the ground and took them for a walk. Newspapers began to print stories of this Superman of strength. They reported not only that he was young and strong, but that he was a Jew. A stranger came to the blacksmith shop one day. "I am Helmut Rainer from Vienna," he introduced himself. "I produce the most splendid shows. We travel to Paris, Rome, Venice, and even to London. I want you to perform great feats of strength for my audiences. You will become famous throughout Europe." Zishe put down his horseshoe. He would be sad to leave the village he loved, but he did not want to be a blacksmith all his life. With his parents' blessings, Zishe left his home to travel the world. Everywhere he appeared, Zishe astounded the crowds. He would lie on his back and support a car filled with 10 people, and he had motorcycles race across his chest on a platform. In another incredible feat, an elephant would walk over a bridge built across his chest. See that? There's a bridge. Elephant! An elephant! Can you imagine? I'd be squished flatter than a pancake. Whenever he came to a town or city, Zishe would visit the Jewish community. He would lift children high into the air, and they would cheer him as their hero, a new Samson, even if his hair wasn't very long. One day, Zishe received an invitation from B.F. Keith's vaudeville shows to come and perform in America. When the ocean liner docked in New York Harbor, a great crowd of actors, wrestlers, and other famous athletes were waiting to greet the Superman of strength. When a reporter asked Zishe how he kept so strong and healthy, he replied, "I train hard, eat good foods, and I pray to God." Then he lifted his huge trunk, his cello case, and 3 heavy suitcases and walked through the streets to his hotel. As he traveled throughout America, Zishe would take time to visit his fellow Jews. Often he would play his cello for children at local hospitals. His heart was as great as his strength. This is not just important to be strong, it's important to be kind, isn't it, guys? And now, on this sunny day in New York City, Zishe would try to perform his greatest ever feat of strength. "Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages," Mr. Keith bellowed, "I would like your attention, please. I need 10 volunteers to sit in this wagon." Then he selected 10 of the biggest men he could find. Now let me introduce the strongest man in the world, the one and only Zishe. The people cheered and applauded. Today, the great Zishe will attempt to perform a feat never done before. Today, the great Zishe will place this thick leather strap in his teeth, ladies and gentlemen. He will then attempt to haul this wagon load of 10 men for half a mile down 5th Avenue. I give you now the Iron King. Zishe walked to the wagon. He removed his flaming red cloak. He loosened and flexed his muscles and concentrated. Do you think he can do it? Is he going to do it? Zishe placed the leather strap between his teeth, biting down hard. He squatted, bracing his powerful legs. Suddenly, Zishe surged upwards and forwards. His muscles bulged and strained. Sweat poured down his face and chest. Nothing happened. People held their breath. Maybe this was too much, even for Zishe. Zishe continued to strain forward, and then the wagon wheels started to turn, just a little, and then a little more, and more. The wagon with its load of 10 men slowly rolled down 5th Avenue. As it gained speed, the crowd went wild. It was the crowning achievement for the Iron King. Look how strong he is. Now, there's some interesting information called Zishe lived at the back of this book because Zishe was a real person. His name was Sigmund Breithart. He was born in 1883. He was the son of a blacksmith. He grew up with a love of music and poetry and the ability to astonish others with his great power and strength. So, when Zishe came to America, the New York Times in 1923, August 27, wrote, "The Polish strongman who says that he is so sensitive that he would walk in a roadway to avoid treading upon a worm, arrived yesterday on the Hamburg-American liner Albert Ballon. He claims to be able to lift 12 persons in his hands, twist bars of iron like scraps of paper, crack Brazil nuts between his fingers, and haul a wagon of 10 people along the road with his teeth." Zishe thought the Jewish people should be strong. In the 1920s, he formed a Jewish sports group, hoping it would become an army to liberate the Jewish homeland, today the State of Israel. Unfortunately, he did not live to fulfill this dream. After his incredible show on 5th Avenue, Zishe continued to perform across America. Several months later, he returned to Vienna. While performing one of his feats, a nail pierced his leg and he contracted blood poisoning. Despite a number of operations to stem the infection, he died 8 weeks later at the age of 42. It's a shame, huh? But what an incredibly strong person. I hope you guys are exercising lots while you're stuck at home, keeping your strength up, being nice and powerful. Maybe not so strong that you can pull a wagon full of 10 people, but, don't put any limitations on yourselves. I hope you really enjoy your challah today or tonight or tomorrow, whenever you eat it. And I miss you guys, and I look forward to seeing you really soon. Okay, because it's Friday right now, Shabbat Shalom from me. Bye.